Hey guys, time for another fix-it video. Today I'm going to show you how to build some storage shelves. I'm going to build some storage right here in the corner of my attic. I need to get this junk off the floor and we need to get vertical. So I have this space here and I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to build it. So here's one example of what I'm going to build. This is my typical storage type of shelf. Real simple 2x4s with 2x3 braces, and the shelving is 1/2 inch OSB. Here's another version, a little longer. Same concept, 2x4s with 2x3 braces. This time I used 3/4 inch OSB just because of the extra weight, and then I have because of the length, this is 8 feet long, I have a brace in the middle. So this is another version of what I did. Alright, so the most important thing with this project is planning it out beforehand. Because we can customize this any way we want, it's important that we detail the layout before we start building. And we can make the height of the shelves any way we want. We can make one bigger, one smaller, combination. So I guess it's best to decide what you're going to be storing and then customize the shelves to fit around what we're going to build. So we know that our legs are going to be 2x4s and our braces are going to be 2x3. And then depending on our shelf, it's either going to be 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch OSB or plywood. And those are going to be our shelves. Now the first thing you want to take into account is the height of the ceiling. We do not need the 2x4s to be going all the way to the ceiling. And the reason is because we're going to have a shelf on top and we're just going to store stuff right on top here. So there's no reason to have the 2x4 all the way to the top. So take your ceiling into account. You know, let's say it's an 8-foot ceiling. And you probably want to come down maybe a foot or 16 inches below the ceiling height. And that's going to be the height of our 2x4 from 1 foot below the ceiling to the floor. So at least we have that. The next thing we want to think about is how are we going to start? Usually the things on the floor are the heaviest and maybe the biggest and bulkiest. So I like to start off what I'm going to put on the floor. Is it going to be a storage bin or a big box of something heavy? And if I find out exactly what I'm putting here, I'm going to measure the height of that box and just say it's 12 to 16 inches. That's going to be the determination for my first level. So let's just say my first box is 16 inches. I'm then going to make sure my brace is a minimum 16 inches. We don't want to make it exactly 16 because we want to be able to, get our hand in there to pull out the box. So we want to give it a couple inches of clearance. So let's maybe round that up to 18 inches. So we know that our first brace is going to be at 18. Now from there, we know what we're left with is the distance here. So, again, it depends on how you want to customize. You might have some small stuff you want to put in. You can make a smaller shelf, then you can make a larger one. You can do whatever you want. Another thing to keep in mind is as we make our second and third shelves, if we know that our shelf is going to be, say, 16 inches, we have to keep in mind that our brace is going to come down 2.5 inches below that. So if you plan on something to be a certain height based on the height of the shelf, you have to take into account the brace. Otherwise you won't be able to slide in your storage easily. So we're going to have to raise the height of that shelf by an extra 3 inches to account for that brace. So just keep that in mind. Two more things I just wanted to mention. When making your cut list, you don't obviously need a shelf for the bottom. Your floor is a shelf in all regards. So you do not need to, cut out an extra shelf for the bottom. So you can ignore that one. And also, I forgot to mention that the depth is going to be 2 feet from the the wall out. 2 feet is a good standard, and the reason that works usually is, well, normally you buy your OSB or plywood in 4 by 8 sheets, and to maximize usage, it's easy to cut that right down the middle. So we have 2 feet, and then you have 8 feet to work with on each side. So, obviously to make the most of this, you can then bisect this in half, and then half, and then half. You can have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So you could have 2 by 2s and this many shelves, or you could have 4 by 2 shelves. So, that's why we use 2 feet, because it maximizes our usage of our plywood or OSB. Alright, I just finished my cuts, and here's what I'm left with. I have my 2x4s. I have 10 braces because I have 5 shelves, so I need 2 braces for each shelf. And my shelves are 2 feet wide by 40 inches, so my braces are also 40 inches. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and measure out my shelf heights. Okay, so I've decided, since I have a 8-foot height, I'm going to make my shelves 16 inches even. That way everything will divide nicely. I don't have anything specific I want to store height-wise, so I'm just going to go with a generic 16. And I'm just going to make some marks at the 16. So the best way to make sure that you get the right height on each 2x4 is to clamp everything together, and we're going to make one mark across at each of our 16-inch marks. Now when I go through the rest, I know I'm exactly the same height on each one. Okay, so now that we made our marks, we're going to do some dry fitting now. So we've laid out our braces along the marks that we just made. And I just got one more here. So this is going to go to mark here. Okay, so now we get to look at it and see if we want to make any adjustments. So this is going to represent our floor, and this is our distance. So if you have something specific in mind that you want to make sure it fits, get it now and slide it in now, see if it fits. If not, it's just so easy, you can make the adjustments now any way you want, and you can make these adjustments however you want. And if you like what you see, you can go with that. So if you want something that looks like that, now's the time to do it. Alright, so we just moved everything up into the attic. So now we made our marks on the long side here. So we actually want the marks to be on the broad side, because this is the way our brace is going to be. So I'm just going to use a speed square to transfer those lines. And I'll just keep doing that for the rest. Alright, so now that we have all our lines down, now it's time to do our cross braces. So the best way to do this, I'm going to line this up against the line here. And I'm going to take my speed square and I'll lock it in this way. And lock that in here. And for this we're going to use 2.5-inch exterior screws. I know it's not exterior, but I just use these for everything. And once you get the first couple in, it starts to go pretty quickly. It's just a matter of just marking it on the line and making sure that we're on the edge. And we do the same thing on this side. Alright, our first side is done. It's looking good so far, so now we're just going to do the other side, and it's just going to be the same procedure. Alright, so I was actually doing a little dry fit here, and I noticed something that I didn't catch originally. This air vent is sticking out, and I just did not put this brace up high enough. So when I run this vent back through, it's not going to catch. So you know what? No big deal. I'm just going to take this brace and move everything up about 2 inches, and I'll do it on the other side, and it's no big deal. That's why it's good to test this out before I started putting everything back together. So I'm just going to move this brace up right now. Alright, I just made the adjustment. Now we got some good clearance here. So I got this up against the wall, and all I did was I just took my level and got it close enough, and I tacked it into the wall back here. So now I could do some work now. I'm going to get the other side up and balance it and put the shelf in. Alright, so now I'm going to stand up the other side, and while I do that, I'm going to put one of the shelves in and tack that down, and then once I have that down, it should be sturdy enough to work on the rest. For this one we're using 1 1/4-inch screws. Alright, that's going to come together nicely, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in the rest of the shelves. I just want to show you one little trick I had to do here. The top was not level, so I had to take my ratchet here, and I ratcheted the two sides together, and I was able to get this nice and firm. I couldn't do it one-handed, and I don't have a helper, so I just used this ratchet. Now I got it set. Now I can tack it in. Alright, we're almost done here. Now right now this is secured into the wall with a screw, but if I did not have that screw in there, this actually could topple over. The whole thing could slide over. So what we want to do is just have a couple of braces on the side. So cut a couple of braces for the bottom here, and then we're going to cut a couple for the top, and that'll stop all the wobbling. And I would still suggest to secure it to the wall if you can, with just any type of strap, just for extra security. Alright, we are done. Just put the top on. This thing is huge. Gonna get a lot of storage on here. We're gonna get all that junk nice and neat. And so that wasn't too bad. It only took a couple hours. Very cheap to make, less than 50 bucks. For me it was free because I had all the material on hand, but if I had to buy it, it was been less than $50. I hope this helped, and I appreciate it if you can like and subscribe, help me out. Have a good day. Thank you.